All right, everyone, we're on Module 8 in our computer science study guide. Let's go ahead and jump right into question 1. So the scenario is your company received a call from a historical society inquiring about the possibility of networking a 2-century-old building with no existing network. In 1924, someone added electrical outlets to the building, but the layout and design of the building prohibits adding any additional copper or fiber cable. You completed a wireless site survey and concluded that wireless networks is out of the question and will not properly function due to environmental interference. Which of the following could be used to network this building? So the possible choices are PoE, which stands for Power over Ethernet. So since you can't use any copper wiring inside, you can't use Ethernet cables, and you don't need power, you need internet. So that wouldn't work. WAP, Wireless Access Point. You can, but you would have to have it cabled or linked to something. So that removes that as an option, because it will include copper in the wiring of connecting it to a switch or to a router. Next is your NIC or Network Interface Card. That doesn't really make any sense. And then your NAT, Network Address Translation. That's a totally different topic that allows you to have multiple IP addresses with one public IP address inside your internal network. So that's not going to help at all either. So the correct answer would be your EOP, which stands for Ethernet over Power. So basically what you're going to do is plug in these devices into a power outlet, and the Ethernet signal is going to travel along the power lines that's already within the building. So you won't have to do any additional wiring, add any additional copper. You would just use the infrastructure that's already there, which provides electricity, and you're running Ethernet and electricity over the same circuit. All right, so EOP is Ethernet over Power. So here is a pair of power line adapters allow you to use AC wiring for Ethernet communications. Power line adapters behave like an extension for an Ethernet cable. You can create an Ethernet network by simply plugging in a pair of power line adapters into your wall outlets. Power line adapters can communicate over the same wires as you use for AC power transmission. All right. So next, on to number 2. A server or service is responsible for sending the content of Cengage to your browser when you type Cengage.com into the local location bar. If the service is malfunctioning, your browser will display a page not found error. What server provides this server? Right, first option is print server. That's definitely incorrect. Next is your authentication server, which we know the authentication server manages your password and login, and it has just a database that keeps that information so that if it doesn't match, it doesn't allow you access. Your file server is basically storage where you can access certain files. Your web server will hold certain documents or web pages that you can access from the server, but it won't tell you the IP address along with the URL. They won't match those up for you. So what the correct answer is, the correct answer is web server, not the DNS, because you're looking for a server or service that is responsible for sending the content of Cengage.com to the browser when you type in Cengage.com and location bar. So the DNS server will give you the IP address and the URL, match those up for you, but it won't hold that web page on a server. So the correct answer would be web server, right? Because it holds that information that you can access when you select that address or type that address into the service bar. All right, so your correct answer is web server. And here's what it has. A web server serves up web pages to clients. Many corporations have their own web servers, which are available privately on the corporate network. Other web servers are public, accessible from anywhere on the internet. The most popular web server application for Apache, you can see apache.org, Nginx, Most popular operating systems for running a web server are Unix and Linux. A web server uses the following ports and protocols. So you got port 80 for your HTTP, port 443 for your HTTPS, which is the secure HTTP. And you can find that on page 318 in the text. All right. So next, let's look at number 3. So number 3, you are tasked with securing a small network for a client in which the following requirements must be met. If a user on the private network attempts to send confidential company information to an unauthorized entity, an alert should be triggered. And the private trusted network should not be accessible from the public untrusted network. And if attacks are coming from the external network, the system should detect and prevent malicious activity. All incoming and outgoing email should be scanned for malware. Which of the following would best meet the requirements of the client? So the first option was implement an IPS, which is intrusion prevention system. That's not correct. Next was implement IDS, which is a intrusion detection system. That's also not correct, because those are they're not gonna cover all 4 factors. All right. Implement identity-based ACLs or access control lists. That's not going to help either. And implement a firewall is also the wrong one, because it's going to be incomplete. It's going to do 2 of the 4, just like the other security measures that they mentioned. They all will provide security measures, but not every one. So the correct answer would be implement a UTM appliance, and that would cover all 4 of those requirements. All right, so the number would be, or the correct answer would be, implement a UTM appliance. And here's what it looks like. So UTM appliance is considered a next generation firewall that can protect a private network. Does multiple things that, like I said, instead of having IPS, IDS, access control list, and a firewall, it can do all in one. And you can find that on page 382, more information about it. All right, on to question 4. Which of the following is a function of an endpoint management server appliance? Scanning incoming and outgoing corporate email for spam, malware, and viruses. That's incorrect. That's more like a proxy server. Providing authentication services for all network connection devices. That is also not correct. Filtering the web content delivered and users on the local area network. More like a proxy server as well. The correct answer is restricting the device's access to the network until security requirements are met. So restricting a device's access to the network until security measurements are met. So once they have complied, they can regain access. All right, on to number 5. So this one has a different, hold on, let me look at this again. Should follow this function. Okay, let's jump to number 6. Looks like we got a server provides that the necessary IP configuration to your network using hosts, so the host can communicate on the network. If the service malfunctions, your device will not be able to utilize the network. Which service provides this service? So first, DNS service, that is not true, because we know that the DNS server is going to match the IP address with the URL. The syslog server, that's just going to manage the system's log. That's not going to help you at all. And next, proxy server, that's going to provide help managing websites and restrictions. So the correct answer would be the DHCP server. And let's see. Go on here, it gives you more information about the DHCP server. And when a device first connects to a network, its IP address can have already been manually assigned. This type of IP address is called a static IP address. Alternatively, the device can request an IP address from a DHCP or dynamic host configuration protocol server that assigns the address from a pool of addresses it maintains. This type of IP address is called a dynamic IP address. A device that requests an IP address from a DHCP server is called a DHCP client. It is said that the client is at least an IP address. A DHCP server that serves up IP version 6 addresses is often called a DHCP version 6 server. Later in the module, you'll learn how to configure DHCP server embedded in a Soho router. Your DHCP uses the following ports. 67, a DHCP server listens to port 67. A DHCP client receives messages on port 68. This can be found on page 318. Alright, so now we're on question 6. That was number 5, sorry. Question 6. A technician has been dispatched to a client's office to diagnose wireless network issues and suspects that the channel overlap may be the problem. Which of the following tools will the technician use to help in determining whether her suspicions are correct? So let's jump right to it. So the Wi-Fi analyzer would be the correct answer. The Wi-Fi analyzer software such as NSSI DEAR can be used to see details of nearby wireless networks. It's page 398. Also, you can download these similar apps on your mobile phone, on your smartphone, or you can actually buy professional ones. But the app works just as good, and they can do several different wireless scans for you. All right, so Wi-Fi analyzer. On to number 7. So you are using a crimper to attach an RJ45 connected to a Cat6 UTP cable, which is untwisted pair. Your company requires that all cabling follow the TIA EIA 56B or 568B standard. Which wire color code will you use starting with pin 1 of the modular plug? So you can find that information there. Be found on page 389. If you look at the pinouts for an RJ45 connector, and you see that the order in the top one is 568A, but the question is 568B, which is orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Notice that the orange, white is the one on the one in the number 1 slot, right? And then the orange is solid orange. Like I said, that can be found on page 389. So on to question number 8. A company requires an Ethernet connection from the north end of its office building to the south end. The distance between connections is 161 meters and will need to provide speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second in full duplex mode. Which of the following cable combinations will meet these requirements? So when you look at these cables, let's go ahead and go to the chart. So this is 161 meters. So of the possible answers, your Cat 5 is only going to carry you 100 meters. Coax cable with BNC connectors, same, they won't get over 100. Cat 6 as well. So your multi-mode fiber with the MT RJ connectors. See with the chart, you can get up to 2 kilometers on the single mode fiber, and then up to 550 meters on the SC, LC, and the LC shown to the right on these connectors. But here's your ST, SC, or LC connectors as well. So the MT.RJ connectors, the multimode fiber, will also get you well over the 161 meters required. And you can find this chart along with others on page 375. All right, number 9. Number 9, you received a call from a user who brought her own device to the office but cannot find or connect to the company wireless LAN. The laptop shows other available wireless networks in the building. this user and the other users in her department are connected to the company Wi-Fi wireless LAN and can browse to multiple websites with no problem from their company assigned laptops. Which of the following is most likely reason the user cannot find company wireless LAN from her own device? So if she's looking for the broadcast, chances are the correct answer is the company wireless access point has SSID broadcast disabled. So if she's looking for it and don't know to type in the credentials automatically, she won't see that broadcast because it's not broadcasting. All right. So you can still connect to it even though it's not broadcasting the actual name of the network, but it's still broadcasting a signal to connect to. So the correct answer is the company wireless access point has SSID broadcast disabled. All right, and finally on to number 10. While assisting a Windows user over the phone, you need to determine the IP address for the DHCP server along with the MAC address of the Ethernet NIC card. This user has successfully opened a command prompt. What command would you have the user type at the command line to determine these two addresses? So if you do the ping command, you know you're going to get a try with a connection, whatever IP address or URL you use. You won't get the information, MAC address, or of the Ethernet or the DHCP server. Your IP config /release, that will release your IP address, but it won't get you the information you're looking for. Neither will NetUse. Trace route will give you other network information to show you how many hops it takes to get to a certain location. And your NetStat will give you network statistics based on the parameters you use. So the correct information to get that information along with other network information will be the ipconfig /all command. All right. So the correct answer for number 10 is ipconfig /all. All right. So that is it for module number 8. We'll see you here shortly for module 9. Thank you for joining.